Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the University of New England's 12th Annual George and Barbara Bush Distinguished Lecture. It's so wonderful to see so many UNE students and members of our faculty and professional staff, trustees, members of the Bush family, neighbors, and just everyone here from Maine and from away gathered for one of UNE's annual signature events. We offer this series as a way of celebrating the remarkable lives of President George Herbert Walker Bush and First Lady Barbara Bush. We're fortunate at UNE to befriend these exemplary Americans during their later years, and this lecture series serves as a lasting tribute to the connection that we forged with them. The Distinguished Speaker Series has brought to our campus through the years and has graced us with much wisdom, the various speakers. And I'm sure this year's visitor, Dr. Richard Haass, will do the same. But before I introduce him, there are just a few other guests here tonight that I'd like to acknowledge. We have several current and former UNE trustees in attendance at this evening. At this time, I'd like to ask them all to rise and be recognized. Trustees, please. Thank you so much, all of you, for your service to UNE. As many of you know, this series has been made possible through the leadership support of the Whalen family. We are deeply saddened by the passing of our dear friend Peter not too long ago, but we are grateful for his wife Rosalind and their son Paul and daughter-in-law Bethany that for their continued support and for being here this evening. So, Roz, Paul, Beth, would you please rise? Thank you so much for your ongoing support of this series. We're very grateful, really appreciate it. The Bush Foundation also deserves recognition for its support and encouragement of this series, and I know many of our friends in Texas are watching via live stream. So how about a round of applause for our friends in Texas at the Bush Foundation? And I also welcome everyone else that is able to be here tonight. I'd also like to give a special acknowledgement to Ms. Doreen Bonanami from the Council on Foreign Relations, who was generous with her time and attention to helping make the arrangements with UNE to bring Dr. Haass with us. Doreen, thank you very much. She's not able to be here with us tonight, but I'd like to give a round of applause to Doreen for all of her help. Although President and Mrs. Bush are no longer with us, their presence continues to be felt here at UNE. Our George and Barbara Bush Center, where my office is located and Gwen's office is located, reminds us daily of these two iconic Americans for whom it is named. Furthermore, our George and Barbara Bush exhibit chronicles the Bush family's love affair with the state of Maine, their presidential years, and the Bush family's connection to UNE. And if you haven't explored this gem on our Biddeford campus, please do so. Please make a point to do so. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. The President and First Lady exemplified the commitment to public service that characterized America's greatest generation. Leading by example, they dedicated their lives to others. They were role models in their time, just as they continue to be today. At UNE, we had the privilege of getting to know them on a personal level. They ventured up the Saco from time to time on their boat to visit campus, taking a special interest in our students and their activities. Our UNE family and their family bonded over our shared passion for brightening the lives of others. Today's speaker has similarly dedicated his life to serving others and specifically to serving the country that he loves. From 1989 to 1993, Dr. Richard Haass was Special Assistant to President Bush and Senior Director for Near East and South Asian Affairs on the National Security Council. During this time, he was awarded the President's Citizens Medal for his contributions to the development and articulation of U.S. policy during Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Later, he served in George W. Bush's administration as Director of Policy Planning for the Department of State, where he was a principal advisor to Secretary of State Colin Powell. Confirmed by the U.S. Senate to hold the rank of ambassador, Dr. Haass also served as U.S. Coordinator for Policy toward the Future of Afghanistan and as U.S. envoy to the Northern Ireland peace process. For his efforts in this latter regard, he received the prestigious Tipperary International Peace Award. For the past 20 years, Dr. Haass has served as president of the Council on Foreign Relations, an independent, nonpartisan organization dedicated to helping people better understand the world and the foreign policy choices facing the United States and other countries. He's also the author or editor of 16 books on American foreign policy, management, and democracy. His latest book, The Bill of Obligations, The 10 Habits of Good Citizens, was released by Penguin Press earlier this year and has already made its mark as a New York Times bestseller. And I highly commend it to you, by the way. It's an amazing book. I just finished it last night. At this time, it is my great pleasure to introduce the 12th speaker in the George and Barbara Bush Distinguished Lecture Series at UNE. Please join me in giving a big nor'easter welcome to Dr. Richard Haass.